Hey peeps, what's up? This is Revamped here, and this is your TNA IMPACT WRESTLING results for January 3rd, 2013. Or better said, 1313. So Impact begins with a recap of recent weeks, with the voiceover guy saying, "It's 1313, will Sting get his vengeance on Aces and Eights." So as we go to the show after the pyro, JB is in the ring to present the award for the 2012 TNA Wrestler of the Year. A loud hearty chant breaks out, and JB introduces the finalists, which are Bully Ray, James Storm, Austin Aries, Bobby Roode, and Jeff Hardy. A drumroll plays as JB begins to read the winner. Aries and Bobby Roode begin to argue down the ramp as both think they won. JB announces that it's Jeff Hardy, and Jeff Hardy wins. So Jeff Hardy charges down to the ring, and Hardy slaps hands with Storm as he walks down, passing Aries along his way. Hardy begins his speech and says that this means as much as a title to him, but Bobby Roode gets in the ring and has something to say about it. The crowd continues to chant for Hardy, and Aries and Roode both put an elbow on the trophy and claim it as their own. Hardy stops him and says that Agenda says he will face them both for the title. Bobby Roode and Aries try to attack Hardy, and Hardy ducks, and Aries hits Roode with the trophy, and Hardy gives a twist of fate to Aries and holds up his bent up trophy. We go backstage, and James Storm is interrupted by Kazarian and Daniels, who imitate his country accent, and Storm cuts a promo on them, dropping social media names like kicking them into Twitter and punching them into Facebook. Then they go to commercial break, and James Storm is awaiting in the ring, and Kaz and Daniels takes off his jacket, and it appears he will face Storm. Kazarian jumps Storm from behind, and the bell rings. So we get James Storm versus Kazarian, and James Storm gets a win in the match with the last call on Kazarian in the ring. We go backstage in the Aces and Eights as Devon continues to convince Mr. Anderson to join the Aces and Eights. There are ladies everywhere, and Anderson says he's really enjoying himself and the recruitment process, as one of the girls strokes a beer bottle in his lap. But Doc is pissed at the same time, and he says Sting returns tonight, and they need an answer now. Anderson says that he needs to make sure that none of them show an ounce of fear to Sting. Devon laughs, and Anderson hands Doc the hammer, and they go to find out what Sting has to offer them, but Devon can't find his bat. Then backstage, Kenny King stops Kid Cash and says he remembers watching him on VHS. They both agree that they will meet each other on the finals of the X Division tournament after winning their respective matches. Cash says that he's been the champ twice and holds up his fingers. King holds up his and says peace, and walks off. Cash says he got half of that right. Then Doc from the Aces and Eights makes his way to the ring, and he gets in with the hammer. He taunts Sting and asks where is he, and Doc says it's 1313, but he doesn't feel like a marked man. Doc flips his demeanor, then he stares at his hammer, and he screams that Sting is wasting his time. We go to a wide shot as a bat falls in the ring from the ceiling. Doc goes crazy and tells Sting to come on, and then they cut to a sudden commercial. Then back from commercial break, in a 1-on-1 match, X Division tournament match, Christian York versus Kid Cash. Now just to fast forward in the match, they trade counters, and York hits a mood swing out of nowhere for the win, so Christian York advances in the tournament and moves on in the X Division tournament. Then Chavo and Hernandez are in the back, and Chavo cuts a promo and says Joey Ryan always hides behind someone. Back from the break, as Chavo and Hernandez come to the ring, and Matt Morgan is introduced with Joey Ryan. Morgan has a sling on his arm and says that he was injured throwing his weights around, and offers a reluctant Joey Ryan to take his place. So we get in a 1-on-1 match, Hernandez versus Joey Ryan. Hernandez takes full control in the match with a backbreaker, and Morgan distracts him from the floor. Morgan enters the ring and hits a discus clothesline with a hurt arm, and then with a carbon footprint to Chavo. The finish wasn't even announced, so the match was pretty much stopped. Then Hulk Hogan's on his way to the ring. He says he's sorry for missing last week's show, but he was caught off guard when he saw Brooke and Bully kissing. He invites Bully and also Brooke to the ring, and Brooke and Bully walk down side by side as they get in the ring. Hogan says he's been trying to figure it out, and he simply asks Brooke and Bully why. Bully tells him that he should have come clean about Brooke Hogan, and Hogan says that if this was 20 years ago, then this would have already been done by now. But now as the GM, he will suspend him, and he tells Brooke to get the hell out of his ring. Bully and Brooke leave in disbelief as they walk up the ramp. Then we see more footage of Joseph Park at OVW, and his trainer says that he has passion, and they can't get rid of him, and that he's actually impressed with him. He also talks about the tapes he's been watching, including his brother Abyss. His trainer tells him that he has heart, and he wishes him luck. Then we get a knockouts tag match, Gail Kim and Tara versus Mickie James and Miss Tessmacher. Now just to go near the match, Tessmacher plants Tara on her face and tags Mickie, who pounds away on Kim. Mickie hits a neckbreaker, but Tara makes a save. Things break down, and Jesse pulls Tara out of the ring. Tessmacher hits a dive on both, and Mickie hits a DDT on Kim for the win. So winners of the match, Mickie James and Miss Tessmacher. Then Doc is still mad in the backstage, and he sits across Devon and two of the other masked guys. He says that their masks must remain, and that they will protect them with their lives. One guy shows a knife, and they go to a break. Then we get a segment with ODB talking about the Aces and Eights, and about her husband Eric Young doing rehab on his injury, and talks about the return. The cage is set up in the ring as they go to a replay from the Hardy Trophy acceptance earlier. Aries and Rude confront Hogan in the back about the triple threat match that Hardy made earlier, and Hogan says that it's an elimination match, so they have nothing to worry about, but they still don't want the other in the match. Hogan says that they must team next week to face Hardy and a partner. They're still irate, and Hogan kicks them out of the office. Then we get the Aces and Eights coming out first, then Samoa Joe, followed by Kurt Angle. Now just to fast forward in the end of the match, as we return to action from a commercial break, Kurt Angle scares the cage, but is pulled off by Doc. Angle lays him out and retrieves the key and gets in the ring. Angle explodes on Devon and the Masked Man, and Angle hits a missile dropkick and goes to remove his mask, but Doc opens the door and Angle charges at him. Doc slams his shut on his head, and Angle's busted up in the forehead. Devon comes off the top with a headbutt, and Joe moves out of the way. Angle gets up and hits his 3 German suplexes on Devon, and 1 on the Masked Man. Joe sends Devon face first into the cage, and Angle hits an angle slam on the Masked Man, after an atomic drop from Joe for the win. So winners of the match, Kurt Angle and Samoa Joe. Then after the match, Doc gets in the ring and begins to beat on Angle, as the rest of the Aces and Eights files into the ring for a beatdown. Mr. Anderson watches on the floor, and the crowd chants for Sting. Sting walks down the ramp with his bat and takes down the Aces and Eights one member at a time. Doc ducks out of the back shot, but the big mask guy is left alone. Angle calls for it, and he unmasks the guy, and it's Mike Knox. Mike Tenay, the announcer, acknowledges that, and even mentions WWE. The other member tries to cover his face as they walk through the crowd. Then Kurt Angle, Sting, and Samoa Joe are standing tall in the ring, as Impact Wrestling goes off the air. So to TNA Impact Wrestling full results for January 3rd, 2013. I'm Revamped, so stay tuned here at Revamped Wrestling for more news, reviews, and results on all wrestling. Peace out.